I have, as part of my equipment, an Osmo Action, DJI Osmo Action camera. It's a little GoPro alternative, a GoPro competitor. And that's what I am recording this video on. I have several Rode microphones. I have the Rode Wireless Go microphone. It's a wireless microphone, and it's also plugged into a Lavalier Go microphone, which is clipped to my shirt here. Now, I've discovered it's really awkward to try to clip on a microphone when you have a seatbelt on in the car. So I clipped it over here, because if I clip it over here, it gets obscured by the seatbelt. And if I clip it onto the seatbelt itself, that seems to work, except when I unbuckle the seatbelt and up goes the microphone. So I have that. I also have another microphone here, another Rode microphone. And I have two more Rode microphones, but the one I'm going to tell you about right now is this deal here, which attaches to the top of the camera and has a little deal here. And oh, here it is. This is it, and it plugs in here like this, and it's got a wire, and I plug it into the camera, and so I have a microphone that goes there. And I also have another little deal here. This is another Rode microphone which plugs in to the side of a cell phone, which makes a cell phone a second camera, which is really, really cool, except that I'm using my cell phone all the time when I'm working, because I am a gig worker. I do things like Uber and Lyft and Uber Eats and Grubhub, and so my cell phone's in use. And then it occurred to me one day that I have some old cell phones lying around, which are pretty good cell phones, but are not being used anymore. And one of them is this phone here, which is the old Google Pixel 3 XL. There's nothing wrong with using the cell phone, but it's a little tricky because of the cell phone. If you really want to take a proper video, you're going to have difficulty getting that motion blur. I have motion blur set up here with the Osmo Action because I have manual controls set. It's 100 ASA set at 50 frames per second. And it's not on automatic exposure. I'm controlling the exposure with a filter. I gotta go right now. There's a Lyft ride. I'll come back to you in a little bit. So I do have a third camera, and that is in my DJI Mini 2 drone. And the opening clips of this channel are usually shot with that DJI Mini 2 drone. One of the things I had to invest thousands of dollars. One of the things I invested in was a new computer for the proper computing power to be able to render these videos into something which is watchable. And I'm not an Apple person, and I'm not a Microsoft person. I'm a Linux person. So I use a System 76 computer website and ordered myself a kind of a souped up computer with a whole bunch of RAM, a whole bunch of video power, extra video power. I also have one of those ultra wide screen monitors, really wide monitor, and all this is very helpful. My rendering time for making these videos went from basically overnight to about 10 minutes or 5 minutes, depending on what I'm rendering. It's just like night and day. So I've got my super powered up computer. I've got my Osmo Action camera. I've got my old cell phone. I've got my Mini 2 drone and other cameras, which I'm using to put together this YouTube channel. The only thing is I can't decide what the theme should be. And what do you think? I've been doing a lot of Uber and Lyft essays and videos because that's what I do. I'm doing an Uber and Lyft driver. I also do Grubhub. And that's why you see me in my office a lot with my seatbelt on. I work right here. And I have a lot of downtime because it's a small city. And during my downtime, while I'm waiting for rides, I have time to talk and put together some video footage, which I take home later and piece together and put out another video from my YouTube channel, The Big W. But even choosing a name for my video channel, of course, I have my personal video channel, Wayne Boyd. Then I have Orbital Plane, spelled P-L-A-I-N, Orbital Plane. I had an idea that I would talk about science-related things there because I majored in physics in college and I've always had an interest in science. I've also had several other ideas for YouTube channels, and finally I decided, well, I'm just going to make a generic name, a generic channel, and call it The Big W. And that W, that's me, Wayne. So here you have it. But I can do videos about science, but that's not really my forte. On the other hand, Uber and Lyft and Grubhub, there are already, those are old industries, and there are a lot of videos about those topics. And I want somebody to watch these videos, and I'm not sure that my Uber and Lyft and Grubhub videos will stand out particularly. And then there's also the aerial photography thing with my drone and my drone videos and drone photography. I got another Uber Lyft. I'll come back later. So now I'm gonna try using my Google Pixel phone as a camera, and you can see how that works. All right, let's see what this looks like. I'm just waiting for it to boot up. I entered my password. I'm going into the camera app, video, and I have a little selfie stick which extends quite far. And we'll turn that on. And here we are on the Google Pixel phone, which is a whole different deal than this Osmo Action camera. Here you can see the Osmo camera right there. That's what I've been filming with up to this moment in this video. There are some issues, I know, being a little bit into photography and filmography with using a cell phone for your video camera, for your vlogging camera. And that is because of what they call motion blur. You'll see, if you look carefully, how I'm shaking my hand. The fingers, as they're moving up and down, are kind of jerky. Whereas if we come back over here to the Osmo Action camera, you'll see it's not like that. And that's because I have the Osmo Action camera set up with a little filter, and I have it set for manual settings in terms of 100 ASA and 50 frames a second shutter speed. And this helps to control a little bit of the motion blur. Now with a cell phone, normally, the way you use it, the only way it can control lighting, it automatically adjusts by lighting by increasing the shutter speed. So when you increase the shutter speed, way high, like when it's really bright, which is the way the cell phone adjusts for the extra light, then you get this problem with the fingers not having proper or any kind of fast motion, not having very good motion blur. It's great for stop action photography. You want to take a picture, you know, somebody jumping off of a tree branch or jumping off of a diving board into a pool. You can stop it, you know, with a fast shutter speed. You can stop it so it looks like they're not moving at all. But with the video, you want to have what's called motion blur, and that's achieved by slowing the shutter speed down. But the only way you can do that with a cell phone is getting a filter that you place over the actual camera. And I'm going to be working on getting one of those filters, like I have on this camera here, the Osmo Action. And by placing a filter on the cell phone, there are various filters you can get which actually clip onto the cell phone over the camera, so that you can actually have more control about shutter speed and so on. Now, here's my other phone. This is the phone that I use for my Uber, Lyft, and Grubhub thing. This is a Samsung Galaxy Note. But since that's, you know, as I said, occupied, I've dug out my old Google Pixel phone. I was retiring and I wanted a new phone, although I was already doing Uber and Lyft using this Pixel 3XL that you're looking at me right now. I was using Uber and Lyft and Grubhub with this phone. But when I retired and started doing this more full-time, I decided to go with the Samsung Galaxy Note. It's a little bigger. But I did find a use for this old Pixel 3XL, the good old Pixel 3XL. Supposedly, the Google Pixel cameras have a very good camera in it. I have this camera, so I haven't seen any need to invest in another camera. I'm gonna be going with this setup for now, and exploring, you know, topics for my YouTube channel here, the Big W.